How many times have you heard Chinese people say black people will bring HIV to China?
嗰啲客人咧玩咗嗰個女仔，個女仔有艾滋病，佢又玩咗另一個女大學生，個女大學生又有艾滋病。
Yes, too many fucking times. If you open Chinese social media, this is the theme. They seem to use it as justification for their bigotry.
因為點講咧？我覺得我始終都係冇辦法接受得到喺我哋國家裏邊，即係話出現啲即係形色色嗰種其他肌膚嗰種人。
Oh, these African students will bring us HIV. Oh my God, they are diseased. Don't get me wrong. A black person can have HIV in China, and a black person can spread HIV to Chinese people. But listen, if you find an African student with HIV or a black person working in China with HIV, it means they've gotten it from a Chinese person. Here's why. To apply for a university place while they are still in Africa, they need to do a medical, which includes an HIV test. 6 months later, they get selected to come to China. Then they apply a visa in Africa. They do a medical. Then they come to China, their medical is ignored. Then within 30 days, before they have any contact with Chinese, they must do another medical. If they have HIV, they get sent back right away. They cannot study in China if they have a disease that can be passed on to the population. So it's very strict, and there's a whole list of diseases that they check. So to get a work permit in China, to get a visa to study in China, a black person must be combed through. Do you have chlamydia? Do you have gonorrhea? Do you have syphilis? Do you have TB? They even ask you if you are insane and you see hallucinations. Is that a unicorn? So yes, black people in China come here with a clean bill of health. There's been an uptick in the number of HIV cases in China, and once again some people have found the perfect target to blame for this uptick: black people. Most of the black people you will see in China are African students studying in universities across China. Another visible group of black people in China are those that come to Guangzhou or the south of China to buy cheap products to go and resell in Africa. The actual story of HIV in China is actually very surprising and shocking. So a huge chunk of the people that have HIV in China actually got it trying to sell their blood. These poor, desperate people were exploited by blood buyers who reused the equipment, causing an explosion of HIV. There are actually some villages which are called HIV villages in the poor provinces around central China.
A UNAIDS report estimated last year that almost 7% of the 780,000 people living with HIV in China are former blood donors or transfusion recipients. 2/3 were infected through sexual transmission, while over a quarter contracted the disease by injecting drugs.
The next group is young gay men, some of whom are university students. Now listen carefully. There is not much of sex education in China, and if there is, it doesn't reach out to these key demographics like gay people, because being gay, even though it's not illegal, it is much of a taboo in China.
The courses that are offered are often backward, or what I call bad sex education. For example, telling students to keep their virginity until marriage. Homosexuality is wrong. Condoms aren't safe. You shouldn't have multiple partners, that kind of thing.
So for example, I've been in China for 7 years, and I've seen only 1 or 2 posters talking about HIV. Compare that to Uganda or Malawi or Tanzania, where the first thing you would see after getting off a plane would be a poster talking about HIV. So that is lacking in China. And the coming of the good life, gay nightclubs, nightlife, mean that many people are out there engaging in risky behaviors. And that is a huge risk factor in terms of explaining the uptick in HIV in China.
The number of new HIV cases in Chinese aged between 15 and 24 have more than doubled over the past decade. In 15 to 19-year-olds, rates have tripled, and the number of infections among gay men is particularly high.
Infection rates are high in the gay community. Some are not educated about HIV. They lack even basic knowledge.
Another group of people that are contributing to China's HIV numbers are the women that are being, quote-unquote, acquired from the poor countries in Southeast Asia to come and fill the female gap in China. So these acquired brides bring in HIV. So there's also an uptick in HIV numbers in the south of China from this demographic. So when you see Chinese people saying that black students will bring HIV to China, they are lying. They're trying to deflect from the real issues. HIV is a big issue in China, but it's not talked about, just like in Russia, where it's also going up because the government is pretending that it doesn't exist.
The main reason is the social values and attitudes towards sex. We haven't yet reached an attitude which is open enough to embrace different ways of life.
Fang Gang says younger generations are slowly changing China's conservative outlook. But unless there's a shift in attitudes towards both homosexuality and sex education, rates of HIV among young gay men in China will continue to rise.
So the next time you see Chinese people talk about black students and black expats bringing HIV into China, show them this video.
網上聽到好多嗰啲或者見到好多嗰啲報道出嚟咧，其實我係覺得點解佢哋過嚟，即係話咁中意去玩中國啲女仔咧？
The safest man to fuck in China is a black student or a black expert. And if a black student or a black expert ever gets HIV in China, you know where they got it from. Use a condom.